movie fans, welcome to Cold and Trash Horror Movie Grind the Podcast. I am your host Ian. This is the show in which we grind on the absolute worst horror and sci-fi movies we can find and make fun of just how bad they are, as well as praise the good cult classics that have been lost throughout time. Now get ready because we're about to dive real deep inside of Hollywood's dumpster in search of the good, the so bad it's good, and the fucking ugly. Now put on your seatbelt, grab a beer or two, and enjoy the show. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another one of Cold and Trash Horror Movie Grind. I am Ian again, and this is a pretty good one. I'm actually excited for this one. Why? Because we are doing Sangre directed by the man, one of my all-time favorite directors, legendary cult movie icon Alejandro Jodorowsky, and filmed in 1989. This is not his weirdest movie, but if you haven't seen any of his other movies, you'd probably say it's probably one of the weirdest movies you've ever seen in your life. And yeah, it's so we usually do bad movies on this show, or so bad they're good, and make fun of them. This I don't think is bad in any way. In fact, I think this is a perfect film all the way through. No plot holes, nothing like that. The reason why we're doing it, like I said, Alejandro Jodorowsky is a cult icon, and you can't do a movie based on cult classics without covering that guy. That is sacrilegious, almost as sacrilegious as the films that he's done himself. And this is his horror film. He actually did a horror film, or a very surreal horror film, I'd say. It's well, we'll get into it as we talk. So another reason why I wanted to cover this one is because I was recently on another podcast. It's called You Might Like This, and that's an interesting show where the host Matt, he has other guests come on and they recommend a movie to him, and he was looking for guests, looking for recommendations. So I hit him up. I said, "Have you ever seen Alejandro Jodorowsky?" And he said he's heard of it, but he hasn't seen them. So he actually watched the first three: Fondo y Luz, El Topo, and A Holy Mountain, and then we talked about it for a while. And here he is, actually, right now. What's up, Matt?
Hello. How are you?
Doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Oh, great.
Cool. So, yeah. So, what? Like I said, you watched those three movies.
I did,
and we talked about it. And
yes.
that episode is out. So your podcast called You Might Like This.
Yeah.
Cool. And I guess just real briefly, what did you think of those three? The three that I mentioned that we talked about.
Yeah, Fondo Elise, El Topo, and what was it, Mountain?
Holy
Mountain. Yeah, they were a lot to take in.
Yeah,
it was extreme. If you took all the dials up of everything that he likes to do, every artsy thing, every beautiful thing, every obscene thing, up to like 11, and then just all the way up, and it's constant, and it hits you in the face. And it's a lot to take in.
Right.
So
sorry. So my question to you is, okay, so you said you didn't watch this one, so I invited you to come on my show. We'll talk about it on this one.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. What were you expecting, knowing you after seeing those three is like super like famous the ones he's known for, and then this is almost 20 years later. So what were you expecting? Yeah. And then after you saw it, was it what you expected? And just what's your overall opinion of it?
I expected it to be less extreme, because I'm used to people as artists as they get older to like to be less extreme or to be less controversial, you know, or to be
Mhm.
like more focused or like maybe they hone their craft and I was right. And so
I think we actually
I
talked about that on your
yeah,
show.
yeah, just that, you know, it's like I can't think of like a musical artist who's as like wild and out there as when they first started because they get older and like maybe like in this story he wanted to tell a story, I guess. So like he did it much more like with a craft to it.
Mhm.
So I did enjoy
Definitely
it.
his most coherent film to date.
Yeah, and it's a story that I could follow and it's like this is great. There's minimum nudity in it.
Right.
Uh
Oh, but it's still there though.
it was there and it was at the very top of the movie, but it was great. And I enjoyed it and it was less intense and after seeing the first 3, this movie is kind of like, you know, it's not as strange. It's very strange. Had I seen it first, I would have thought it was extremely strange.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it goes. All right, and we've got another podcast. Well, actually, before I bring him in, welcome to the show. And glad to have
Thank
you.
you. I'm
All
happy to
right,
be here.
and we've got a returning guest. He was on the Swamp Zombies 2 episode, and he was on my old show a whole bunch. And I've been on his show. We've got the host of I Don't Give a Flick podcast, Jonny Blackburn, is back. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I'm fucking sorry, dude. I thought we were reviewing Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium tonight, so I am not prepared for this at all.
Well,
But,
it's cool. We could talk about Santa Sangre, and then you can
Okay,
talk about
sweet.
that. And
Awesome.
then we
Okay,
could just
bring up a movie nobody wants to hear about. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, great. I came to the right show then. No, man. Yeah, thanks for having me back. Always a pleasure.
So I guess this whole time I thought that you had never seen a Alejandro Jodorowsky film because I brought it up a lot on your
You
show.
did, and I
by a
hadn't
lot I
until
mean
you
like 2 or 3
mentioned.
times.
Yeah, you mentioned El Topo to me on multiple occasions over the last year and a half, and so at some point it was like end of last year, beginning of this year, I finally watched it, and that is my only other frame of reference for Jodorowsky was El Topo. I've watched some interviews on him, and I've read articles on like The Holy Mountain, and then obviously this one. But this was only my second time viewing one of his films.
Okay, so same question goes to you. Well, first of all, what did you think of El Topo briefly? And also, after seeing that, what were you expecting for this one? And was it what you expected? And what were your overall thoughts
Yeah,
on Santa
I mean,
Sangre?
you know me, man. I don't typically like over the top surrealist films, especially surrealist horrors. Excuse me, I'm talking about El Topo. But still, in general, with I appreciate what they do or what they're trying to do. And I appreciated El Topo being kind of the catalyst for the midnight and acid western subgenres, you know. So I appreciated that. It was so over the top that I did enjoy a lot of it. 'Cause remember, we talked about it, and I said it was decent. It was better than I expected. A lot of times when I'm watching,
I forgot that you said that you had seen it. So yeah, so I'm just, you just reminded me earlier today before we started this. So
yeah. That would kind of suck with some of the questions on your itinerary. How does this one compare to to some of his other works? I would not have been able to comment. But yeah, you know, I coming into this one, I certainly expected it to be a little more obscure and a little more over the top, and it still was, but nowhere close to what El Topo was. And yeah, I'll save some other opinions for later. I want to give it all away at the end, at the beginning. But yeah. You know, I appreciate what they try to do. You know, my qualms with surrealist films a lot of times. I feel like it's like looking at a beautiful painting or reading a wonderfully well written, like eloquent poem or something like that. It's short for a reason. You spend 5, 10, 15 minutes on it, and then you move on to the next thing. I feel like films like this that take hour and a half to 2.5 hours to draw that story out, it's too long. And that's why it has such a smaller, more narrow market for people. That's why you don't see a lot of these go mainstream. Not saying I don't appreciate it. I'm not saying they're not well done. I'm just saying that, you know, how we talked about The Green Knight.
Not your flavor.
Not really. Yeah, Mother, the Green Knight, that's kind of what this falls into for me. I appreciated what they were trying to do, all of the overt symbolism. You appreciate that, but it just gets overplayed after watching it for 2 hours. It becomes boring to me after a fashion. So
Okay, so what about Santa Sangre? Are you talking about just El Topo or both of these movies?
both. No, both. El Topo
okay.
I actually enjoyed a little bit more overall, just because it was over the top. I figure if you're gonna go to that level, you might as well push to the very edge and don't stop. This one it didn't go far enough for me to keep me entertained throughout the entire thing, but I still watched it. There are particular scenes, and you and I always talk about color palette being one of our favorite things to look for in films.
That's probably his.
And this,
well,
it's strong.
Or Holy Mountain are probably his best as far as that goes.
No, the color palette in this one was strong. I don't know if it's his design or his production designer's design. I know he does a lot of, he wears many hats. He does a lot of things himself. You see that from a lot of European filmmakers. But yeah, I appreciated that. Absolutely. God, I loved the soundtrack for this. I mean, a Mambo score.
Oh yeah.
Mambo. That's cool, man. I love it when they bring in soundtracks or scores that really make you feel like you're in that country or in that region that they're talking about. And I feel that honestly, I felt that the score was actually the strongest piece of the whole film. I enjoyed parts of it. I didn't watch it and I was like, that was a waste of 2 hours. So yeah, I enjoyed that aspect.
Cool. All right. That's fair. It's definitely not for everybody. So I mean, I was really wondering what you were going to say. I was thinking you were either going to love it or hate it. It's neither. It's
in the middle. I certainly didn't hate it. But you also thought I was going to think the same thing of Lamb, and I saw Lamb the other week and thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually loved it. I was surprised. I did not think I was going to like it. But yeah, it was entertaining.
Yeah, but I'm also kind of surprised. For those listening, me and Johnny, we go way back a ways. We when we're not on each other's podcasts, we talk a lot about movies that we see, and I mean, yeah, you can make like a third podcast between two of us and just our daily conversations. But so anyway, let's get into the trailer and see what craziness this is all about. I got the wrong trailer. That's the 4K release, and they actually just came
out. Is that from Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium?
I forget these things have trailers sometimes because they're so there's no way this had a trailer. What would it be?
Yeah. What would it entail exactly?
Actually, I'll tell you what. El Topo and Holy Mountain had amazing trailers for them. That's the score you were just talking about.
Yeah, it's dynamite, man.
Oh, the elephant. Yeah, that was messed up.
The elephant, yeah.
What I love about this trailer is you have no idea what this movie's about.
How could you?
It's just pictures.
It says it's like Psycho, but I see a circus and elephants and stuff. And I'd be very confused.
It's closer to Dumbo than anything else here. What am I watching? Oh God!
I forgot about that. It's like bring back memories from a strange dream.
It's random shit. It's like you would never guess that any of this is related. That this is all the same movie. And actually, I'm going back a second.
Yeah.
Or I went way too far. I don't even know where I am anymore. Never mind. Well, there's the part where he held out the acid, and that's makes me wonder how much acid does one circus need?
You think I want to stay away from that?
Apparently a ton. They got to punish the people that snuck in without paying.
It's a messed up cotton candy.
If I would give this movie one word, that would be psychotic.
Yeah.
This is probably the most psychotic film I've ever seen. Okay, so yeah, so that's the trailer for Sangre, and that Sangre is Spanish for the Holy Blood, which is an entire scene in this film, which really stood out quite a bit. A pool of blood. Yeah, so let's start off with saying so the trailer started off and that you commented on it that said that it's like Psycho. Would you guys agree that this is almost kind of a remake of Psycho in a way?
It's like an expanded Stranger Psycho, like with lots more people and characters, but the main story is still there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It certainly it copies a ton of aspects from Psycho, but
Yeah,
it's not identical.
Definitely.
But it's close. Yeah,
No,
it's
not identical.
similarities.
I would say it's like the same plot points and plot twists, especially, but a completely different story.
Yeah,
yeah. It's like a movie that starts off like that, or just like a movie that ends with a psycho twist, but the story's different.
Yeah,
Because there's a mother involved, and that's kind of the thing.
I mean,
Yeah.
isn't that one of the most classic horror or like psychological thriller tropes is the Oedipus complex between the mother and the son kind of thing, and him like being mentally tortured as a kid and then exacting her revenge or whatever the hell she's trying to make him do.
Yeah, exactly. There seems to be. It's not like specifically out there, like it's not the message, but there's some like themes of like an incestuous relationship between the boy and the mother in both films.
Really? I'm just thinking. Keep going. We'll get.
I mean, yeah, they do sleep in the same bed and they kiss.
He's her arms.
Yeah,
there's lots of kissing.
Well,
lots of touching.
Psycho had the original body was in the living room or the bedroom. Right. Well, this is like a doll, right? That he's
and that's I really dug that of how Psycho, he's got her skeleton. And in this one, there's the same reveal. Like the girl walks in, and then you see the mother, but the reveal is that it's a dummy. So I like how Jodorowsky in this he is taking these, like, I guess the skeleton of Psycho and then just making minor changes to make it his own original thing, which I think is pretty brilliant in a way. Like, it's not obviously Psycho, but it's like it's Psycho, and it is.
Yeah, it's like certain parts where I go,
still original.
This is like Psycho. I get this, but that was only a few parts. The rest of it feels nothing like it at all because they add so much, like his deal with the church and the circus. Like it just adds so much more. It's just like that's just like a good twist for it, I guess.
Yeah.
There's
so much that they're trying to throw in within the 2 hours too, which is it's brave. It's brave. I don't think it works in some parts, but
Yeah, I agree. You can definitely trim off about like 15-20 minutes, and it might be better for that. But going back to the themes of the relationship with his mother and some other themes that seem to be pretty common in his other films is all of his other films that there seems to be like a message, and that you could probably maybe agree with me on this one. Johnny saying El Topo, you might agree that there's something to do with his father, and for that, I'll explain. It is that all of his films, it's very subtle, but so he had a very bad relationship with his father. The director did, and he kind of shows that in his films. And in this one, the entire film, there seems to be a message of like, what's the word, not really like being there for him, not loving him. That there's throughout this entire movie, there's
say like a negligent father.
Exactly. So all these all the things that happen, like there's the all the mental patients go on a field trip and they're neglected. They're just left to their own. There's the deaf mute girl who's neglected by her mother, and she's like, yeah, you can just do whatever you want with her, like whoring her out, and pretty much, the kid Phoenix himself, at the beginning, he's neglected by his parents. So that seems to be a theme with his father. Like that's a recurring theme. So with El Topo, there's kind of the same thing where it shows him and his son, and he just like kind of, well, first of all, he doesn't put clothes on him, so the kid is just naked throughout El Topo.
Yeah.
You guys haven't seen his recent films, Endless Poetry, and
No.
those films are literally about his father neglecting him because those are autobiographical. But yeah, so sorry, my internet seems to be kind of bad right now.
You're good, man.
I
Your
don't
show.
think she'll hear me at the moment.
Can you imagine being one of? I wonder how. Yeah. No, I was going to say, I don't know how they marketed El Topo initially, but could you imagine if they tried to initially market it as an actual Western movie, and then you have like all these old like boomers and old timers and stuff that love the John Waynes and the
Clint Eastwoods,
and they go see El Topo and like, what the fuck is this? Are you kidding? Funny thoughts. Anyways.
That'd be fun to see. That's not John Wayne.
So actually, in the trailer, to answer your question, they actually said in the trailer this is not a Western.
Oh, that's good.
Like,
that's
they
good.
specifically say that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, the answer is that then. Thanks for crushing my hopes and dreams, Ian. Bastard.
Right. Because I think he learned from his first movie, Found Who He Lives, which caused a riot in a theater at its premiere.
Well, it's smart. Then you don't get the wrong people going to it.
Sure.
And yeah, you don't have to riot, and that's pretty good.
Was El Topo his first film that got released in America? Because he's from Chile or France originally, I think, one of the two. Right.
He was born in Chile and
lived in
France,
in
Mexico.
Making movies. Lived in Mexico. Okay, I thought I'd read he was a Chilean French director.
Yeah, all of his films were filmed in Mexico. Let's I guess get into the film itself. So, Johnny, you said that it crams a lot of things, but I think that each act is like a different story. Like the first act is the whole thing with the circus and him living in the circus. Second half is when he escapes the mental hospital and there's all of that going on. He's reunited with his mother, and then he's, I guess, trying to have a normal life. And then third act is when all hell goes loose.
He kind of joins that little show with his mom, or like whoever.
Yeah, so I guess let's go through each act and say what the first act was. So I guess, Johnny, do you want to say what go through what's going on in that first act?
I'm gonna let you take this one, man, because you've probably seen it more times than I have, and I'm gonna probably butcher it.
All right. So I think the first act is him as a kid, and it kind of sets up his childhood, right? So you have him and the girl who's a deaf mute, and the tattoo lady, and there's this is where the mom is.
She's part of that church cult, and their god is the woman who had her arms chopped off as well.
Yeah. Was she the trapeze lady?
Yes. Yeah, the one that got pulls up by her hair.
And then she pulls up and sees the dad, which we talked about the dad already.
Talking to the tattooed woman, right?
Yeah, and like this absent father, like flirting with the tattooed woman, which gives me questions about like if the tattooed woman is the mother of the girl,
right?
Makes you wonder if that's could maybe a sister or something. But the mom
God, I hope not. A lot of
Yeah.
a lot of incest going on in Jodorowsky's childhood, I suppose.
But mom's part of the cult, and the city or the military wants to tear the church down. And so they go over to the church, like, look at our stuff. We have this big pool of blood. And our saint is this lady who got her arms chopped off. And they say this is sacrilege, and they tear the whole place down. And so now they're all back in the circus, and dad's off with tattoo lady. Mom sees it while she's dangling from the roof with her hair, but she's the whatever that is called. I don't know what that's called.
Like trapeze.
And
Trapeze.
trapeze, but that's even an extra thing with the hair pulling.
That's like a subgenre of trapeze.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Subgenre of trapeze.
Subgenre.
Let's have an episode on the subgenres of circus terminology.
Oh yeah.
Then what else happens? I just remember there's some sort of like struggle, and then the father cuts off the arms of the mother, and
she grabs some acid and dumps it
on his
over
genitals.
the jug.
That's right, because
She-
you can't have these movies about genital mutilation. It's impossible.
That's right.
Yeah.
Makes
You
it
just can't have it.
a classic piece of cinema has to have mutilation in it, otherwise it's not.
Which
good.
I think he's a great actor at that point, because like the way after he did that, he just gave her this his eyes like burst into flames basically.
Yeah.
And he just like stared, like he's so bad. He's like he has his face on him like I'm about to murder you, which was very believable.
Doesn't the boy witness the boys in the trailer? Doesn't he witness the mother killing the father, like slitting his throat?
Yeah, so she dumps the acid on his junk, then he cuts off her arms and she like bleeds out, and then he slits his throat, as you would probably, as one does when they're castrated.
So he's just watching in the window, like just watching the whole thing. She ain't going
very
anywhere.
traumatizing.
Yeah, I would say so.
And as you can see, he like grows up in a mental hospital thinking he's a bird.
No PTSD at all.
And he doesn't speak or anything.
So that's the first story. So the second story, I guess, Johnny, do you want to cover that one briefly?
I mean, the second one, I'm gonna put it in even shorter words. The second one is basically, because honestly, they do a good job of crossing back over and stuff. I really appreciate when they do origin stories to give you the full viewpoint of what's going on. It's basically him in the mental hospital and him thinking that he's a bird. And what I also never got right there too, if you go back and look, the tree that he's got in the cell is right next to the damn window.
Yeah,
I mean, he
and
easily
apparently
hops over
he could have left at any time.
He's got like 30 feet of rope with him.
Gave him all the tools.
Like what? Like, is this a minimum security?
See, that's what I'm saying. I mean, they're very neglectful. I mean, like the guy takes them out to the movies and then just like leaves them. And then like a pimp just shows up, gives them some coke and a prostitute, and then they're fine the next day.
And he was like 50s looking. He had like a slick hair with the tank top. Like, yeah, come on, see, come on, have some drugs. Yeah,
he
didn't talk like
and
that.
The 50s. Yeah.
Yeah. And later he's like, he has a suit on, like he's a gangster guy, and it's definitely like 50s zoot suit or something.
Yeah, I love how he just keeps coming back throughout the whole movie.
Yeah,
just in the background.
And so he finally, I guess I may have gone to the bathroom and missed the part, or just didn't understand how the mother randomly appears just on the street and starts yelling for him, and then he climbs out
there.
And and it just randomly like
at the time, because you didn't know you didn't know the plot twist, so you're just like, what's she doing there?
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I mean that's how it happens. I mean, so basically when he's out on the street, he sees the tattooed woman that ruined his life, basically.
Right.
And all the memories flood back in, and then so he hallucinates his mother. But that's like,
right.
I mean that's what caused that. But if your first time seeing it, you don't know that, so she just appears. Which what I really like about this movie is that it seems like a plot hole. Like that makes no sense. Like, or it's like lazy screenwriting, and it's like yeah, that's why would she just appear? But okay. And then there's a few others like that. But once you know the reveal, you understand that she only appeared after he sees a tattooed woman and the memories come back. So it actually
Well, maybe
makes
she
perfect
survived
sense.
though. Maybe she got through. Like they cut off her arms and she was okay. Well, like we
And
don't
she-
know that she didn't get through it.
Mhm.
And then
They
she's like,
quickly. Keep going.
I
Yeah.
thought that when I saw that, I thought that he was always getting out and hanging out with his mother. Like, oh, we're gonna walk around again,
Oh,
and then he
yeah?
walked
Oh,
away.
okay.
And it's
Yeah,
like,
because
oh, they're gonna
she
come back.
does just call him.
Yeah, it's very
she's like-
casual. Like, we've done this
Yeah.
before.
And he's not super elated or anything to see. He's just kind of like, oh, hey, there you are.
Yeah.
Okay, and just stroll on out, no problem.
Yeah.
Can we? And so you talk about the death of the tattoo lady when he goes in to end her. I appreciate the homage that they paid again to Psycho. They have the silhouette of
Yeah.
the knife overhead and the repeated multiple
Yeah.
stabs one after another.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
And that was
I
brutal
appreciated
too.
that.
Yeah,
That
It
was
was.
one of the most
Yeah.
brutal murders I've ever seen on screen.
when I
'Cause
saw
she-
that too. Sorry.
yeah, because it's just like digging the knife in there and just like slicing
Yeah.
up and just
Oh
just
yeah.
messed up. But go
When I,
ahead.
s- when I saw that, I was waiting for more weird stuff. So I was like, okay, what's going on? It's like fingernails, right? Like women's fingernails. It's like,
Mhm.
are these arms alive and flying
Yeah.
around? Like, I didn't know
Yeah.
like where I don't know because I seen his other movies. I was like, where is he going with this? You know, like are these arms just out on the loose or is she controlling them? Like
Right.
with her mind or something. Who like I had no idea where he was gonna go with it. So I was like, I'm really excited to see how those arms are killing somebody. Because you don't see a body at all. You just
Yeah.
see an arm.
Right. Yeah, I was watching that with one of my co-hosts on here who wasn't able to make it, and he said the same thing. He was like, "I bet those are like arms flying around." I don't know.
You never know.
It was funny that
I-
you say the same thing.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah. So he goes with her. Then he's just like they're working together. Like he is her arms, and they're like. First, it's an act, but then you see that this is like their regular everyday life. Like he
Yeah.
is 24 hours, like doing stuff for her, which I'd say I don't know about y'all, but I was really amazed by this when it shows them like she's eating breakfast with that behind him, and he's like yawning for her, like
Yeah.
putting his hand in front of her mouth, and then spills some coffee, and then he grabs
So
a
natural, like
napkin.
we know
It
what
was-
to do. And it was those
Yeah.
they're the same person. Like they really
And she's like pointing at him like that, but like he's pointing at himself.
yeah.
Yeah.
It makes more
the-
sense when you know what it is, but thinking as that's a person with no arms, that's amazing that they have that connection that they can
Right.
know what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And then I loved how when they're playing the piano, she's like really into it. It looks like she's playing the piano, and he's behind her, like just staring off in space, like hating this, and it's just like
Yeah. It's so easy though.
Yeah, that was really well done, and I think that Jodorowsky is a genius for that. Like that was definitely brilliant. Okay, so then there's Act 3, basically, where he who basically wants to have sex, but she won't let him. So like he goes for one girl, and like every girl he's sexually attracted to, like Psycho, the mother goes and kills or forces him to kill and
Fucking cock blocking. Damn moms, dude. Always getting in your way.
right.
A boy's best friend is his mother. You guys, come on.
Apparently.
Yeah. And another thing I thought was brilliant. So he kills the first victim, that girl, and he buries her, and then he goes for the strong woman and it buries her. But when he buries her, you see all the like ghosts or like zombies. I mean, it's an hallucination, but it's like really terrorizing, and horrific. And you see, I counted them. There were like, I think 16 or 17.
Yeah. There were a lot of them. Like this has
So
happened before.
yeah, many times. He's a serial killer at this point. So I thought that was cool. That and how when he chose a strong woman, which I guess is well, not I guess like she is trans, obviously, but yeah, so you're wondering like why her probably,
Yeah.
and then he says, I forgot what the quote is, but
Like you'll put up a fight or something, or
yeah,
you'll resist me or something like that.
yeah, and he begs her to break his arms. So basically, like he's trying to like he still wants to get it laid, but he doesn't want to kill her. So he's
Hmm.
trying to like find the most like hardest prey, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did y'all think about that? Like, I think that's also really,
Yeah, I was
really.
confused when he was like, why is he going over there? Why he's talking to this person? And then kept saying, oh, you'll resist me, you'll fight. It's like, oh, so the trick is like it's a passive aggressive way to beat mom. It's like, when this person fights back, I'm not going to fight you, mom. When this person fights back, then I'll lose and this whole thing will be over. Like, oh, that's pretty
Yeah,
clever. Yeah.
yeah. Which
Someone
it didn't
stronger than
work out,
mom.
unfortunately.
Yeah, there's someone who's stronger than his
Oh,
mother.
apparently not.
Yeah, I guess
No.
not.
Not mentally.
No, apparently not.
Use the
not-
sword. Use a sword, Norman. It's not Norman, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Then another thing that I thought was really well done when you see them at the house that they're staying in, everything looks really nice. I mean, it's all white walls, but it's like really cool looking. And they
Yeah.
have like a piano, they have TV, and just a whole bunch of stuff. But then when you see the reality of it, when the deaf mute girl comes in, I think her name is Alma. She shows up and it's all completely dilapidated. There's a bunch of animals everywhere, cobwebs, everything like walls are falling down, and so like it gives you a really good glimpse into his mind. Which
And that
I
Invisible
think is
Man scene
fantastic.
was, I love the
That
I didn't
that
understand
was,
it. First.
that was
That was just a really cool scene. I don't know where they're going with it. And it's like then he wasn't just playing around. It's like he thought he turned invisible. I was like, your experiment failed again. It's like, oh my god. So
yeah.
he went all
So
out.
the scenes like that, we're talking about with the transgendered, woman, or the Invisible Man scene. It kind of just leads you to think how much of the actual movie was in his mind as opposed to how much was reality. And I don't know. I was thinking about that when I was watching it, and I'm sitting there. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, how much do I really want to invest in what I actually think is happening here? Because I don't even know. It's an Inception kind of thing. Like I don't even know if it's actually happening or it's actually happening to him. If it's actually real. How much do you guys think was actually in his head throughout the entire thing?
I think they pretty much revealed everything.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, how do you think it was? Like a 50%, like 65 was in his head, 15% kind of thing?
Well, I think there's most of the scenes were there, but just the different parts were in his head. Like when he's with mom and mother, like it's a doll, and then when he's Invisible Man stuff, that's definitely like he doesn't have that whole setup. He doesn't have like the laboratory and the all the stuff from the show.
He's pretty much just in a room by himself at that point.
Right.
Because it showed him playing on the piano with the doll mom, and he didn't even have a piano.
Right.
He was just
in front of him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like when he pulls the python out of the bag and he's like wrestling with it in front of the flower shop owner, and he's like, "Oh, must have been a hallucination."
Yeah.
It's like,
so
what?
Casual
It must have been a hallucination. Yeah, and he's so casual about it. He's like, "Oh, it happens all the time. Don't worry about it." So date tonight at 7. I'll pick you up, right?
And how do people know about him? That lady wanted to go on a date like he was some famous person in town.
Well,
yeah.
he was.
How are your experiments going? Oh, you're
stuff.
like everyone wants to know you. It's like, how is he so famous in his town? Is it the show? Like his?
Yeah, I think
Which
he
gotta be the
actually
show.
is doing
Yeah,
a
it has
show.
to be.
Yeah.
So he has a doll show basically. He has a show
basically,
where he is a doll.
Like
Fucking
everybody's
creepy
just
is
like, look at this lunatic up here.
Before the twist, you think, oh well, it's like maybe you're on that show with your mother, and you the arms for that lady. But then you go, oh wait a minute, like he's he's a guy who
He's
brings
just a
his
crazy
doll up
person.
on stage and sings. Like, so he must be singing on stage for his mother because the doll's not doing it. So that's extra. That's a lot.
Right. And
A lot of stuff.
back to the snake. I thought that was really a cool metaphor because I mean, like obviously the snake is a metaphor for his sexual desire.
Yeah.
But and I guess the way that they pulled it off because like he's struggling with it, like he's literally fighting it. So metaphorically, he's struggling with his sexual desire, which I think was pretty well
it was
done.
very on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then one last thing that I loved was the clowns at the end. Just all of a sudden, a bunch of clowns just show up. Like first, it's just one clown. You're like, where the fuck did he come from?
Yeah. Weren't these guys at the circus at the beginning of the movie? They found me 15 years later. What the fuck? Just out of nowhere.
Yeah, and then I love how they like help him pick up the mom doll. They're like, and no one, and the two, and then throw him, and then they just disappear. And then the little guy disappears, and then yeah.
What is Jodorowsky's sidebar real quick? What's Jodorowsky's infatuation with little people?
It's not just little people. It's I
he
guess
had a lot of El Topo in this one, and then I was reading articles, and apparently that's a common thing. That
what I'm saying is not just them. What I was going to say is it's basically freaks in general. Yeah,
Well,
like
that's rude.
well, yeah, I know. I like that. That's not my personal opinion.
I know. I'm just teasing you.
Yeah, that's his gimmick. Is the
Right.
he uses disfigured people, which like there's
Which
the guy
he did,
with
yeah.
no ear in this one, and
Yeah, or the guy had like the nose like shoved up towards his right eye a little bit. That was bugging me a bit.
right. There's a lot of that in Holy Mountain. And Holy Mountain, there's a guy with missing arms and legs. He just has like stumps that he just like walks around in. And
Damn.
Yeah, doesn't someone give birth to a guy with no arms and legs in one of those? They're on like they're on a ship or something, or I don't know where they are, but like
yeah, well, it's that same guy that I was just talking about. Like he shows
Yeah.
up on the ship, and but yeah, something like that. But that guy was pretty awesome. Like he lights a match and lights a joint with just his stumps.
wow. There's a guy who is like that for real, and he climbed like Mount Everest or some crazy
Really?
mountain like
Yeah,
that.
I remember reading about that.
Just on his knees and his elbows.
Yeah.
Impressive, man.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Johnny, for one, yeah, it's like a freak show. Like for one, he does everything he can to disturb his audience, and he found out that disfigured people and I guess people with Down syndrome and little people and all that, they disturb people like ordinary, like normal, I guess, audiences.
Sure. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Normies.
Normies.
So that's
Average
one
Jews.
thing. He loves to disturb his audiences. For two,
I can tell.
He actually has a good relationship with these people. Like he's not exploiting them. He's actually like getting these people and filming
He's giving them
just
work, and that's
being
honorable for sure. That's
themselves.
great.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
It's getting
paying them
exposure
for-
because lots of people see people that are different like that and go, "Oh, look at that person!" Like, come on, man.
right.
It's like, but if you never see these people, you don't get exposure. You never know. Like, you're never gonna, I don't know, just not really care or just not notice someone when you see that.
I guess 30 years ago, it certainly wasn't as common to see that. And
Yeah, for sure.
and then, accepting nowadays.
In Hollywood, you got like just the most beautiful people, like impossibly beautiful people, and when they play ugly people, they just put on like weird makeup.
Yeah,
you know,
just like how never look alike.
Yeah, and then so Jodorowsky's doing the opposite. He's like the complete opposite of that. And also to answer your question, in his movie, I think it was Endless Poetry, but it might have been the other one. his two recent movies that were autobiographical. There's a scene where the main character is himself as a young boy, and he's working for his father in his shop. And outside of the shop, there's a bunch of war veterans that had their body parts blown off by grenades in the war and stuff, and so they're missing legs or arms, and they're out begging for change because they're just screwed now because the government won't help them and they can't get a job.
Yeah.
And in the movie, he befriends these people, and then his dad comes and shooes them away. He's like, "Get out of here, you bum, you freak!" And so that's definitely a common theme in all of his films. Which
imagine like a family friend saying, "I saw your son's movie again. You're an awful person. Apparently, I don't know. Like he keeps referring back to you. What are you doing to him?"
Yeah, in Endless Poetry, he gets his son. Another thing that he does in all of his movies, he gets his sons.
Yeah, both his kids.
So in El Topo, the naked kid who is his actual son, he's grown up now, and so in Endless Poetry, he gets that kid who's old enough to play his father.
Mhm.
So his son is playing his grandfather, and he's just like a terrible person, pretty much. And yeah, so that brings me to the next segment, which I'll call "It's Not Jodorowsky Without." And so we'll just name off all the movies that he uses similar themes and tropes and gimmicks and stuff. So we already got two, or three actually. He uses
Abandonment of the Father, Freaks.
Abandonment of the Father, and he tortures his children.
In all of them. Interesting. All right.
Not Fond We Liz, because they were too young. But so in El Topo, he brought his kid, and he was like, "You're just going to be naked throughout this whole movie."
Yeah,
imagine
nudity.
him
Nudity's
being that. Oh God, imagine being his kid, and we're like, we're not going to torture any of the other kids, but my own children, who mean so much to me, we're just going to torture the crap out of you guys and only you.
Because my father neglected me. You have to do.
I'm gonna have to do. It's family heritage. I got to pass it on. You know.
Exactly.
It's not one of those movies without like just lots of nudity, and this I guess doesn't have as much, but I can't imagine like
so they're male and female.
El Topo,
and
like, doesn't
son,
matter.
Like, actually, yeah, that's another thing. We're merging themes now. Not only is there nudity, and not only are his children in it, but his children are nude in all these movies.
Can you imagine an edited for television version of any of his movies? It'd be like 5 minutes long.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it's not a Sangre. I forgot to mention that both. So the main character, Phoenix, both the young version and the old version are brothers, and they're both sons of the director Alejandro Jodorowsky. And yeah, so he gets that kid, which is a different kid from El Topo. Both of them are naked. And also back to not Endless Poetry, but the other one. I keep blanking on what it's called. But he gets naked again in that movie too.
Which brings up another theme of nepotism. Mm-hmm. Having, like all your family in a movie like Kevin Smith style,
Oh yeah.
But with nudity. It's the same people. This movie is Psycho with Kevin Smith, nepotism, and nudity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now I want to see Kevin Smith do a Psycho movie.
I mean,
oh my God, I'm exhausted already.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. After him diving in with Tusk, I don't know if I would watch another horror movie by him.
Okay, you know what? On my old show, we did an episode about Alejandro Jodorowsky, and it turns out he did a movie actually called Tusk, which
really,
he hated it because he had no creative control, so he pretty much just dismissed it. I don't think you can even find it. It's not
Lynch's Dune.
I just know it's about an elephant, which is another Jodorowsky theme.
Oh
is
yeah,
he
there's
has
elephants.
Apparently.
elephants and animals being killed.
Why didn't they go with
Yeah.
him for the remake of Dumbo then?
That's a
Fucking
lot.
chose Tim Burton.
Right. But what I was going to say is we were joking on that episode. Like we want to see Alejandro Jodorowsky version of Tusk, the Kevin Smith Tusk.
I'd watch it.
That would be
it couldn't be
insane.
worse. It couldn't be worse than Kevin Smith's version.
I think it would be a lot. It would be surreal as fuck.
It would.
I mean, they all are, but yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so Johnny, seen El Topo? Is there any other common themes that, or anything you can?
I was actually going to say
those
not
two movies together.
Yeah, I was. It's not necessarily a theme, but in particular, well placed and culturally appropriate soundtracks and scores. I thought because I honestly I liked the score for Santa Sangre not much better. I liked it better, but the one for El Topo was still spot on, man. Yeah, the one for El Topo was still.
And then for this movie, lots of it. It wasn't probably played live, but when there was music, there was musicians in the scene playing the music.
Yeah,
which was cool.
That was cool. Threw me off a little bit at certain points because they're just like out of nowhere. They're having like this really seductive scene between the tattooed woman and his dad, and then they're like she's licking a knife, and there's like a mariachi band of 6 dudes, whatever it is.
Yeah, what are you guys doing here?
That's just what they do.
Get out of here! Yeah.
Not only that, but it's like it shows downtown at like 6 a.m, and people are out still partying, and there's still a band just playing. To like nobody except for the pimp and his, I guess, his bottom bitch.
Now, does he do all of? I haven't seen more than 2 of them. Does he compose all of his own scores?
I don't know. I don't think so. I will tell you, when he was working on Dune, he was gonna get Pink Floyd to do the soundtrack to Dune.
That would have been dope. That would have been really fucking dope.
Amazing. Yeah.
That would have been amazing.
For anybody listening, that they made about that Jodorowsky's Dune. They made a documentary in I think 2012, and it won awards. It's just incredible, especially now that this new Dune is out. So you can like understand what he was going for. I mean, he definitely wanted to change a lot of stuff, and it would have been 12 hours long, but understanding the story of what Denis Villeneuve did with it.
Yeah, Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah. And then compare that to what Jodorowsky wanted to do. It's actually, he denies it, but after seeing the new Dune, I could definitely see some things that were going to be used in the Jodorowsky version, like such as like the Flying Baron. He doesn't fly in the book, but and that was in the Lynch version, but that was also Jodorowsky's design, which came before the Lynch version, as well as like a few other things. So I definitely very highly recommend anybody to watch that documentary. It's very interesting.
What was it called again?
Just Jodorowsky's Dune.
Jodorowsky's. Okay, well, he loves being right on the nose, doesn't he? Yeah, that's
Well, I mean, he didn't make the documentary. It was just a documentary about his version.
Kidding. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right, and well, anyway, so another common theme that uses is definitely not a Jodorowsky film without religious and sacrilegious imagery. Which is all throughout all of them.
You can see that.
And speaking about being on the nose, that is very hard on the nose. Like he's way in your face about it, and he does not give a fuck. And I love it. Like I eat it up. It's not so much in this one, Santa Sangre, but definitely in El Topo and definitely in Holy Mountain. And
so Holy Mountain has the whole part where like he's walking around and like when we talked about where like there's a church person in a bed with one of those Jesus
that's
statues.
my favorite part.
And it's just like And the scene where the Jesus guy wakes up and there's Jesus statues everywhere and he's just freaking out, and it's just like, I don't know. It's right. It's in your face. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, what you were trying to say is, yeah, the character who is Jesus, like that's like they're saying it's not Jesus, but I mean it's literally Jesus.
It is Jesus.
He like goes to a bed, takes off the covers, and there's a pope in bed, like snuggling a statue of Jesus. And he's just like tries to wake him up. He's like, "Hey, I'm here. I'm the guy you're worshiping, and like devoted your entire life to." And the Pope is like, "Fuck off, get out of here! Like I'm here with this statue that means what I want it to mean, basically."
Exactly. I can do what I want with this statue.
Yeah. I love it. It's damn good symbolism. Yeah. So. Can you guys think of anything else?
Chopping off body parts.
Oh yeah, just
like in
memberment.
genitals. Also, that's
Dismemberment, yeah.
And it's all over the place. At some point when I was watching his earlier movies, I was like, and they cut off a penis. Okay, all right. I expect that to happen eventually again. You know, it's been 10 minutes and we're doing that, and that's okay.
It's been 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other ones that are in there.
Definitely. I mentioned it earlier, but animals getting killed is a big one.
Yeah,
because like at El Topo, he comes into that city where that was just blood everywhere and dead people, and then actual dead animals.
And then in the desert, he sees that one desert guy who has all like rabbits.
Oh, the dead white rabbits.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Johnny, anything come to your mind? I mean, I know you only saw 2 movies.
Honestly, no. I mean, we just rattled off about 8 or 9. So
yeah, pretty much.
2 of mine, and I named my other.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's more, but they're, I guess, a little bit more subtle. So,
which doesn't seem to be his MO. So surprised that they were subtle.
Well, no, that's the thing. Like, he's definitely in your face, but he definitely does have a lot of subtleties too.
If you look at most surrealist directors, they are all in your face for the most part. It's not, they don't really try to hide it at all. That's why a lot of their movies aren't mainstream. I'll go into more into that later in the episode. But I mean, who else? David Lynch. He does that a ton. There's a shitload of the other ones that do it. I think the only one that actually does it really well that's mainstream is Denis Villeneuve, however you pronounce it. Because if you look at something like that, because if you look at outside of the new Dune, if you look at Prisoners or Arrival, or just litany of any of the other films that he's done, he does a very good job of not interrupting the story to just take the symbolic meaning he wants and throws it in your face for a couple minutes and then back to the story.
Definitely Enemy. He did that well in Enemy.
Yeah, he incorporates it. He uses a lot of, it's just the subtle nuances of how he eases it into the script. And I think a lot of directors that are on that, it's kind of the surrealist spectrum, like him, the ones that are successful that go mainstream do a really good job of not being overtly in your face about it. They try to find real sneaky ways of putting it in, or it's one of the main themes. But I digress.
Okay. Well, going back to Sangre and the subtlety, I'll say what he did subtle. We were already talking about it, but of how before it's revealed that his mother is just imaginary, and like when you're seeing it the second time, it's almost like a different movie because you could pinpoint it, because there's parts where he's with the woman that his mother wants him to kill, and he's reacting to her. She's like yelling, "Kill her," or something like that, and he's like reacting to her. He's looking at her. He's looking at the other woman, and then he's like, "No, don't make me do it." And then the other woman is like, "What the hell's wrong with you? Like, what are you doing right now?" Yeah. And at the end, when he's finding his mother to kill Alma, and then he stabs his mom, and then she just like walks out. uh, he follows her with his eyes, and us, the audience, follows her. But if you look at Alma, she's just staring right at Phoenix, and she does not notice the mother. This is before it's revealed that the mother's imaginary, but
Yeah.
you see nobody ever reacts to the mom, only him, and
yeah.
you don't really catch that the first time because you're too.
So you're saying it's like the Sixth Sense, but different.
Good comparison, but different, but not identical.
But in that way, yeah, in that way, it's Sixth
Yeah.
Sensey. Only that way. That you don't only one character's noticed another character, but that's it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And this came before Sixth Sense, so I wonder if this had any. Actually, I wasn't thinking Sixth Sense, but earlier before we did this, I was thinking if this had any. I guess inspiration on Fight Club at all.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah, that popped in my head actually.
I don't know if it's this movie is, or at some point like the other person's imaginary like twist. It just became a more common thing, Like I don't know like which one happened.
Yeah. Well, what like how do you mean?
Well, like all right, so you could say we could either go with that Fight Club, like when they saw that and it's like, oh, I like that a lot, and that was all those filmmakers like that movie, or the idea that there's a character that's only in someone's head and we don't know towards the end just became a common film idea that people started to use a lot.
Yeah.
Fight Club definitely set that
it popularized it for sure.
Was it popularized and they just used a popularized thing, or they were like, we love this movie?
I mean, Fight Club was written very well and directed very well. So I mean that's really what. Yeah, it's definitely both of those things. But I mean, like again, it goes back to Psycho, which I don't know if that was the first one or if anything came before that.
It's tough to say. That was pretty early on. Was it 59?
I was 50, or no, it was 60.
60, yeah, 1960.
Yeah. So anyway, I wonder if Chuck Palahniuk, the author of Fight Club, if he saw Sangre, or
he likes shocking things. Like I saw an interview and he's like, I came somewhere and I read some of my works to like a crowd of people and some people threw up and he loved it, So it makes sense he would like something like this. Like he likes to shock people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he definitely does. Yeah, so I guess Johnny will be right back. Yeah. So I guess before we go on to the next segment, do you have anything else that stands out about this movie that we haven't talked about?
I guess what I like is there's like in the other two movies, or his older movies, there was like a very interesting visual thing that almost seemed like, hey, look at this, hey, look at that, and it was almost not connected. But in this one, he used it so it actually was connected. Like when the mom and the son are playing piano and singing together, that was one of those scenes that was really cool and like really catches your attention. But it was in the story. Like it was useful. It wasn't just, hey, look at this, look all these dead rabbits or something. Now, I don't know. Like it was used. It wasn't just something image thrown.
It's like less metaphorical.
Yeah,
more literal. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it came out 20 years later, so you could definitely see that he definitely grew, and he's got more tricks up his sleeve, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
This movie is definitely more literal than all of his others, and a bit darker too.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, like I said, psychotic. Like I think probably my favorite scene is in the graveyard when all the dead victims rise up and they're just like crawling towards him, and he's just like losing his mind. I mean, literally losing his mind.
Well, that's why that scene sticks out, because there isn't 1,000 other images that like showed up out of nowhere to like to make that one seem like less special. It's like he saved it, and that it's up to it.
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. Pretty much. Johnny, you missed it. We were talking about the graveyard scene where all the ghosts of his victims are literally and metaphorically at the same time haunting him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're definitely not rising out of their grave. I mean, it's definitely like his madness, and he's
very Hamlet-esque for sure.
Yeah, which I love that. Like Shakespeare is brilliant in that way. Yeah, it's just like that. Anything that sticks out to you, or any other scenes that we haven't brought up, Johnny?
Well, sorry, Johnny.
Go ahead.
Or
I just had a thought that I got so caught up in him getting rid of his mom and like clearing up, like being less crazy, and like admitting that his mom's gone, that I totally forgot he killed all these people. So at the end of the movie, when the police are here, it's like, oh, it's cool. So he's clear now. He's good. It's like, oh, he killed like 20 people. All right, he's going to jail. Crap, I forgot all about that.
He's evil all along. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
It's not that he's evil, because like he definitely
killed 20 people. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, it's not
30, whatever. That's pretty evil, man. Well, it's funny because like up until that point, I think that I'm like, what was kind of cool about it was I was like, oh, most horror movies they're always trying to celebrate evil, kind of like they're always making that you're always rooting for the antagonist that happens to be a protagonist. In this one, they're challenging evil, and then at the end that happens, and I'm like, oh wait, so fuck it, never mind.
Yeah,
what I was originally appreciating wasn't true.
The thing about it is that we're with him the whole step of the way. We see his emotions, we see his reactions. Like, he doesn't want to kill these women. He's just insane, very unbalanced. He needs help, and he's literally hallucinating, and he's just like, he should be locked up. He's not evil. Like, he's not actually like planning to kill them.
Right.
He's I mean, it's a byproduct of being insane is that you will commit evil acts. I mean, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But he's not like calculating or anything. He's not like, fuck these women.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's conniving or anything. Like it's he's
he definitely should be arrested. Absolutely.
Yeah. Not this insidious being or anything like that, but
he doesn't ride off into sunset, which is definitely great. I think that if another director took the same script, like, he would do that. Like, he would do something to like be the good guy at the end, and that's not the case. In fact, like, he's not even the one who killed his mom. Like, it's all because Alma showed up and she like helped him, guided him through it. So she's definitely the good guy, and he's just 100%. Like, he needs to be locked up. And it's unfortunate because he is a victim of trauma, and of course trauma does not excuse murder.
And he needs help. He needs a cell that doesn't have a big tree by a window
and 30 feet of rope.
That's the real evil of this movie is the
psych hospital. It's the mental ward that's to blame for this.
And when we take them to the movies, you don't just ditch them at the movie theater in the bad part of town. You got to go with them. You have to treat these people.
Keep an eye on them. It's their fault. It's all the fucking doctor's faults.
Don't take them to the movies by the 50s gangster guy. Like, don't do that. Like,
you never
go
want
with
to
them.
do that. Yeah.
He's scary.
50s gangster.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll go ahead on to the next segment, which is what's next, where I give you a prompt. Like, if So, like we said, so this is basically a reimagining of Psycho or like a
Right.
Lynch remake. What other like classic horror movies would y'all like to see him do? Like maybe not him.
I can't tell if Ian froze or he's still talking.
It's frozen.
He froze. Okay.
Sorry,
We
froze
didn't
just for a second.
we didn't hear
and,
anything you
I'm
said
sorry.
after what horror movies. Then you cut out.
But I mean, you get what I'm saying. Like, what takes
Yeah.
the backbone and then completely
Well-
changes the story.
I'm sorry. Well, you cut out for like 15 seconds, so I'm not. Can you say the question one more time?
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. So, what would you like to take a classic horror film?
Horror film. That part I
And-
got. Yeah.
And then, like, take the structure, the backbone structure, the plot, and all that, and then reimagine it. Like, what movie would you like to see either him do or maybe
Gotcha.
not anybody in particular? Like,
A reboot. Okay.
yeah.
Has
Like-
to be horror.
I mean, this
Um,
is the infamous horror podcast.
Yeah.
so-
I know. I was thinking about
You know,
movies that are so horrific and so awful that they're just horror in general.
We
even
know
if it's an
that
action film.
the Friday the 13th movies have a whole thing with like parents.
Especially the first one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
that's like a
reverse.
reverse Psycho right there.
Yeah.
That has like in neglect and like the whole campers, they're neglectful and he gets revenge. That could be an interesting.
Like,
I mean, we've seen
yeah.
enough of those movies, so I mean, maybe not, but like
Actually,
I mean,
no, I would love to see like a surreal Jodoverse-esque version of Jason.
well, it wouldn't be like
Of a slasher movie.
it wouldn't be Hockey
Yeah.
Mask Jason because Hockey Mask Jason wasn't even in that one. It'd be like
Yeah.
weird lake Jason, little
Swamp
kid
Thing
Jason.
Jason. Like,
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, you got the mother, who's like you could even mix these two movies. You got the mother who's like getting revenge, but instead, but she's real in the first one.
I would have to say, honestly, I would actually have to say The Happening. I would
Okay.
still kind of consider that odd borderline horror / psych thriller. The M Night. First off, if you listen to, I don't know if you ever listened to our M Night Shyamalan
I
episode from a
listened to
couple
that
weeks ago.
episode, yeah.
Yeah, so if you look at Shyamalan, he's not usually like these other surrealist directors where he's like over the top and throws it right in your face. In The Happening, he does, and it doesn't hit. It's a horrible film. He falls completely flat on his face, and I don't think there's much you could do to make the movie worse. So I don't know. I feel like that would be one of the few horror movies that tried to go the surreal route and didn't hit it. And I feel like, even though I'm not a huge fan of him, Jodorowsky,
Yeah.
that's his bread and butter. So I would like to see
Yeah.
what he could do with something like that. Maybe it would enhance, what M. Night failed to do.
Yeah, but see if you had like a symbolic, like instead of like the air or something air killing you, it's some
Right, the
symbolic
trees,
version
yeah.
of that. The
Right.
trees, like the trees killing you. I think he could do a lot with that. Like, what are the trees really?
Yeah, because
And
there
you
was no
take it-
origin explained on it, and he seems to do that in his movies. And I mean, it seems like it was necessary to understand what was going on.
See, the trees are the church, right? And trees, and the fathers of the trees,
The fathers are also the trees. Everybody's a tree.
It's my
Except his son.
Aronofsky like film pitch. All right, so we got the church, right, and a father. What else you want to do?
Yeah. Basically.
What would you have, Ian?
Uh,
What would be yours?
Well, I mean, I mean, this prompted, and then I forgot to actually think of one. But I mean, I did actually, like I said, what's it called? Tusk would be
Yeah.
amazing. I'm still on board for that. I want to see a surreal Tusk.
Couldn't
because
be
that
any
would
worse than Kevin Smith's adaptation. So
I didn't mind that one.
it was all right. It wasn't as I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean,
Something
it
worse
was
movies, but-
basically just Human Centipede, but with a walrus. Like it was the same movie.
humans. Yeah,
Yeah,
it wasn't awful. It was.
I'm going to do stuff to you. I think there'd be one that'd be just funny. It's not a horror movie, but if he did Pee-wee's Big Adventure, is
Oh,
because the bike, he wants the bike, wherever the bike is. It turns out the bike was never there. So like in Holy Mountain, like Heaven was never there, or in this, the mom was fake. And he goes on his journey and he meets all these messed up people. Someone cuts off some genitals or something. And it's a journey. It's a journey he can go on that, and it show lots of weird stuff. And at the end, he's in the movie that we're watching. There you go.
Right.
Mind blown. Boom. Drop that mic.
We did it.
Yep.
We did it. That's it.
All
That's
right,
it, everybody.
Cool. Yeah.
Aronofsky's Big Adventure.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess let's go ahead and rate this. So yeah, the way Johnny, you know the way we do it. Matt, since you're new, so we rate 1 out of 10, and then just instead of stars, it's just something that stands out about the movie. So Johnny, would you like to start us off with this one?
Sure, and we're just doing pure enjoyment.
Yeah, just how you not like rate the film like from I guess from the eye of just, you know, like any other film, but how you personally enjoyed it.
Felt about it. Okay. Well, you know me. I've said my piece about surrealist films and like surrealist horror directors as well. I mean, this is definitely up on the level with, I would say, like Suspiria or Eraserhead, with that type of surrealist horror, that subgenre. Okay. And I appreciated that. I appreciated the first two. I like both of them a little better, but I still appreciated it for what it did. As far as just my overall enjoyment factor, throwing in there with the production value and the soundtrack, which were both quite good, which I was really happy for. You know, the color palette, as far as everything technical, it was a sound movie. You know.
Yeah. See, that's why I wanted to bring you on this one, because like I agree with that, and so
yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to see your opinion on the technical stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. I don't think really the biggest thing for me is a lot of the symbolism, the motifs that they try to use through the script. The acting for the majority of the cast was his sons in particular. I did not like either one of them. I love the mother. I thought she was a fantastic actress.
Yeah, I agree.
She's very believable. And she just commanded every scene she was in.
Yeah, especially when she was yelling to kill him when her most psychotic and the maniacal laughter too.
Like, you'll never get away from me or something like
that. Yeah, no matter what you do. Yeah. But from a technical standpoint, everything was absolutely spot on. You know,
I think it's his best movie technically.
It was better than El Topo, I'll give you that. Unfortunately, I've only got those two for my frame of reference, but I would agree with you absolutely 100%. I thought that the strongest elements to this were the soundtrack, was the color palette. And once again, I really wish I knew if that was the color palette was his decision or his production designer. We always talk about that on our shows, like every time we go over one of these movies, and I just didn't.
Who do you give credit to for stuff like that sometimes?
Yeah, because
never gets Tim Burton. Like, love Tim Burton. I gave him lots of credit for stuff, but how much is his like production team of like, we have all these other designs we've made? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. His set designer, his artistic director, production. Yeah, you never know. You know, a lot of times it was like it was like The Nightmare Before Christmas. Tim Burton didn't direct that. It was he produced it, but he got all the credit, and he didn't direct any of it. Like it doesn't make any sense. Go ahead, Ian. What were you saying?
Well, yeah, it's not always just like give this job to somebody else to do, and then that's what they do in their.
Sure.
I mean, there's a lot of going back and forth and comparing notes, and so
it's collaboration. For sure.
Yeah, exactly. So it could be half and half, or it could be like he has all the ideas and he's like, okay, so I want this to be just like this, just make it happen. Or it could be the opposite of that, and he actually does hire somebody to just, all right, this is your job, just do whatever you want.
Right. And I did if
that's the case, but yeah.
Probably not. I did really appreciate how every character did have a specific color that represented them, whether it was a hint of yellow or a hint of purple or green, whatever it was. The fact that you saw the color contrast change for particular scenes to either foreshadow someone's demise or to show the birth of a new way of thinking for one character. So I appreciated that he did that. For a director who, at the time, at least when this came out, was probably not as well known. And for a lot of people today, they still don't know who he is. It was well done. Go ahead. What you're?
No, I was just agreeing. Yeah, you really pretty much outside of this podcast, he was on our.
He did with the color and the soundtrack with that their production design. He did a great job of making you feel like you were there. I've never been to, unfortunately, I've never actually been to Mexico or any Central or South American countries. I've never been to see a traveling circus. Even as a kid, I never went to see Barnum and Brother, but. I felt like if I had actually gone to see that and I lived in that area, how he portrayed it, that was accurate. It made me feel like everything was fairly realistic. I didn't think anything was kind of just thrown together because they had they were lower on budget or they were running out of money. I thought that was masterfully done. So with all of that, encompassing, I'd probably give it a 5. 5 inappropriate ooh or us from the tattooed woman whenever she's dancing at random times. By the way, that part really it made me laugh. I was laughing the whole time. Even like she's licking the knife. Ooh, she's dancing. Ooh, the guy's like smirking at her. Like every scene that she was in, every 3 seconds I hear some like sexual groan or sigh from her.
She wants your attention. Look at all her tattoos.
She
like,
does.
Look at me. Look at me.
That's
Ooh,
right.
I'm over here. Did you forget?
She was already gorgeous enough, man. She had my attention from the moment she stepped on screen. But I'd give it a 5 out of 10. I think it not normally my type of movie, but I definitely appreciated it for the attention to detail that he gave out.
Like I said earlier, it's definitely not for everybody, and I think that that's probably like the most fair thing, really. I mean, like I'm really into Jodorowsky himself personally, so I love it.
You talk about him a lot on my show.
Yeah. But also, I think mainstream audiences would probably hate it.
Probably it's a very narrow kind of niche subgenre.
Yeah,
like not only appreciate.
Yeah, not only the surrealness, but like just how brutal and dark it is, and there's like not a single yeah, I mean that is a popular thing these days, but so Matt, how about you? How would you rate this and your final thoughts?
I've came from watching movies to talk with you earlier, all in a very short period of time. So it was a lot of overwhelming craziness. So much so that I kind of like sometimes lost the thread of what was going on in those earlier movies. I appreciated it. Like I just kind of took it as like, this is this weird long painting I'm looking at. I had to look at it that way. So this to me was like a focused movie with like an awesome balance of weirdness, but also a story and characters, which is early movies don't have that as much. There's a lot more random things going on. So I appreciated this because I was, like we said earlier, I was waiting for those arms to be flying around the air with a knife. It's like, what's next? Like, I have no idea.
Anything could happen.
Yeah, really anything. Like, elephant could just walk into the scene and just fall over and go, okay, there we go. Or another, in one of the movies, like another frog version of Invasion of the Aztec Temple. Like, okay, sure, like who knows what it could be. So I really appreciated it, and it wasn't as artistic and shocking, but I did enjoy watching this more. Not to say I didn't like those other movies, but this one's easier to enjoy than the other ones. The other ones I just appreciate and I take it and like, wow, that's an amazing artistic feat. But this is like, I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, so, I would agree with you, and I think that the other ones is like an event basically.
Yes,
and this one's more of like a closer to a mainstream movie.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I give it like 7 angry moms with no arms.
That's a lot
with blood shooting out.
Yeah, that's a lot of angry moms with no arms.
It is.
I guess that's the cult that she represents anyway.
Yeah.
So
she is the Messiah, apparently. Unintentionally.
Right. Okay. So no me. So yeah, I loved it. I just love weird. I'm just all about it. I eat that shit up. Um, ever since I first saw it, I fell in love with when I first saw it, which was I must have been like I think 17, maybe 18.
Damn,
I
how
was
many
in
times have
high
you
school
seen it?
still. A handful. Because I hadn't seen it since then for many years,
Mm.
and then showed it to a couple people. I'd say probably five or six.
Okay.
But that's more than any of his other films. Yeah, like Matt was saying, it's like more accessible to watch. Like you could actually sit down and just it's like another movie.
Right.
Yeah, so Johnny, everything you were saying about technical stuff that was great. In fact, like when I recently watched it, I forgot how good the cinematography was, and I was actually
Yeah.
pretty blown away by that. I was like, "Damn, I forgot how good this is." And then the whole psycho thing, like I love that. I mean, this is before plot twists were like a very popular thing. Yeah, they were
Yeah.
rare, so it was actually really done well. You know, it's not like something you'd expect. Like right now, you can't talk about any movie that comes out without spoiling it.
Right.
Basically, you know. And back then, that was rare, so it's very original. And so I'll rate it pretty high. I'll give it 9 ears that a guy pulls off of his face and then violently try to shove into a girl's mouth.
Hey, look at
And
this.
who knows what that? I think that's the most like nonsensical weird what the fuck moment. Probably.
I love the
Like-
burned genitals.
I mean
Yeah.
that made sense.
The acid.
Yeah, that's
It's-
the revenge thing. I get that.
Oh,
That makes-
of course. Yeah, that's
But that,
Yeah.
but for
Yep.
once, like, not for once, it makes sense sometimes in his movies. But that was like, I see what he did, and I see why she did that. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
But that goes back to my question: like, how much acid does one circus need? That was a giant
Yeah,
jar.
where did she get that? From
It was
where?
just on the shelf. Like, no, you see her pick it
You're
up
into
off
some
the shelf.
pretty. That's a kinky fucking fetish, man. That's they enjoy dumping acid on each
It
other.
was just. I mean, it is a circus.
It is a circus. It takes R. Kelly's pissing on somebody to a whole new level.
Yeah, I'm
dude.
trying to think of
Jesus.
the use of it. It's like, we need more acid. Why? I don't know.
Sex.
Well, let's just
obviously.
get some.
Yeah,
Obviously.
well, you know, just in case my husband cheats on me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotta
it's
have
like,
a
hey, you
vat
cheat
of
on me.
acid.
She,
And
you know,
points
that's
to the
probably why it
acid.
was on the shelf. So, like, she probably knew it was coming, so she probably got ready and planned it.
Preemptive strike.
There you go.
What's
And-
the acid for? When you cheat on me. I'm not gonna do that. Like, well, it's there. It's waiting. Don't
It's
be
waiting
surprised.
for you.
Don't
Yeah.
be surprised, buddy.
Well, that'll conclude this episode. Now, as I always do, I like to give a little sneak peek to next week's episode. And I've got that one right here. Just one moment. Let me pull it up.
Can't wait for this one.
So, yeah,
Is that Talia Shire? It's like
I don't know.
from Rocky and Godfather.
It does look a little like her from the profile.
It does.
One lump or two. Full.
That's not.
So, yeah, she's worried, but she fucked up. She put that cross down.
Oh yeah, it's never good in any movie.
Shouldn't have done that, bitch.
I've always wanted to watch this.
Oh, yeah, you've heard of it?
I have, yeah.
It's not very well known.
I imagine.
Of course it's not. It's about a vampire motorcycle. It's gonna be amazingly horrible.
Oh my god. Alright, I'm watching this anyways because now I saw a scene.
Yeah,
This is great.
I'm watching this regardless if you have me on the episode or not, Ian.
Yeah, I'm not sure who I'm going to have on it yet. Yeah, I can let y'all know.
Yeah. What?
See, that's her fault. She could have moved out of the way.
You could have, but that would make sense, and it's a horror movie, so
Oh my god.
take the most logical thing and don't do it.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. Great makeup effects. Let's just paint red dots on here, and that'll symbolize she's dead.
I mean, this movie was clearly made for. Oh, and she got cut in half too.
Yeah.
That's probably where the budget went. Right
Yeah,
there.
that's right. Round of applause. Round of applause.
That's amazing. That's amazing effect. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely. Yeah.
So yeah, for those watching this, that is, I bought a vampire motorcycle. We'll
Yeah,
be doing
yeah.
that next. Yeah, if you guys are down, I can see about having y'all in. Like I said, I'm not really sure of who I'll have on yet.
Yeah, man.
So
What's up?
cool. Yeah, I mean, you're both always welcome. So
I'm still pissed.
yeah.
I miss Psycho Gorman. So.
Oh yeah, that was a fun one.
So
Matt,
sad.
have you seen Psycho Gorman?
I have not. I've not seen it.
Have you heard of it?
I've heard good things about it.
That's great, yeah.
I saw part of the review. I get like the gist of the story, but there's always more to it than that.
Yeah.
No, that's basically it.
Oh,
Whatever
okay. Well,
you've heard,
it looks
that was
enjoyable
it.
anyway. Still, it looks.
Oh no,
pretty.
it's great. It actually is like fantastic. We had a great time. Okay, well, be sure to check out both these guys' other podcasts. Matt, you might like this podcast. I guess I mean I already kind of talked about it earlier, but you want to like give a. Is there anything I missed out?
Not really. I'm just looking for people who either work on something or, get have on-set experience or acted or maybe just like something. It's some random thing that, you don't think anybody thinks about. Just want to talk to people about it. That's all.
Just
Get in
kinda
discussion.
like, out of the box kind of movies or lesser known movies.
They're lesser known. I actually I fall into a horror thing with lots of people, but like I'm all over the place with movies. Like I'll watch like some weird comedies. If there's like a drama that's good, I'll even watch. I think Lifetime movies are hilarious.
They really are.
They really are. And
So fucking funny.
I'll get into those. Those are awesome. Like there's a Will Ferrell, Kristen Wiig Lifetime movie they made that is really weird because you expect them to break into some jokey character. They play it straight the whole movie.
Oh
It's
my God.
bizarre.
That's hilarious.
It's called
it was a very
Deadly
ironic.
Adoption. Yeah, Deadly
Okay.
Adoption.
Damn, I wonder how much they had to pay them to convince them to do it.
Oh no, it's with Lifetime movie directors, actors, set people. Like they just put them in the movie and wrote the script. It's so weird. I'll talk to you about anything.
I bet they were really stoked for that one. They're like, yeah, we got.
It had lots of viewers when it came out. Lots of people watched it. It was on
Did
TV.
you see the KFC one that came out? Kind of.
Oh God, what was it? Secret Recipe or something?
Yeah,
I saw a little bit of it.
Mario Lopez plays Colonel
Yeah.
Sanders. Oh, that was so fucking bad. It was only a short too. It was like 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all you
Something.
need. You
Yeah,
get it.
that is all
So-
you need. That's true.
So yeah, check out Matt's podcast. You might like this, and yeah, like I said, there's a whole episode where we talk about Alejandro Jodorowsky's earlier career.
Yeah.
That was a really fun conversation too.
Yeah, I had fun with that.
enjoyed
And that was an eye-opening experience.
Yeah, I think like we both kind of understood him a little bit more after like putting our heads together.
Definitely.
And then of course, again, check out Johnny's podcast. I don't give a flick. Which again, you could. I'm on like a lot of those episodes
You're on
talking
nights,
again
like,
about
close to
Alejandro
40%.
Jodorowsky.
Yeah, 35%.
That's not all I
something
talk
like that.
about, though. I mean,
No,
I talk
no,
about
you talk
Mandy a
about
lot
stuff.
too.
I
You
love
do talk about Mandy a lot. You do talk
Love
about Mandy a lot.
Mandy.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that you talk about a lot of obscure films that most of my listeners probably have never heard of before. So,
and I'll do it again.
I know you will. I know you will.
But yeah, so his podcast is just a different. Every episode is a different category. The last one I was on, we were talking about different subgenres of horror. But by the time this comes out, by the time this episode comes out, I'll probably be on there again.
Yeah, but we primarily a lot of film reviews or film podcasts focus on reviews of movies. We typically try to feature kind of what happens behind the scenes in film theory, film philosophy, talking about, we have episodes on independent filmmaking, making your own film on a budget, all the way talking about how Hollywood blockbusters have ruined a taste in mainstream media. It just depends. We have people like, because I myself, I work in film and TV. That's my full-time job. and so do my co-hosts. And then we've got people that are film enthusiasts and just eat it up with a spoon, like Ian, like Jacob Johnson, who's always on there. And then we have people that have acted in TV series and that have produced for movies on a bigger stage and smaller. So it's really all over the place. If you like film in general, it's a film junkie podcast for sure.
Nice.
So check it out.
Yeah, I wanted to get Jacob on this one, but he never responded.
He's actually he's in the middle of he went back to school to do a coding boot camp, so he should be free some point early next year. So he's been pretty busy. Yeah, he missed both of our Halloween episodes. So
yeah, shout out to him and his podcast.
Yeah, Reese and Jacob versus
Evil, which is more horror movie reviews.
All horror. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll do this episode of Cult and Trash Horror Movie Grind. Thanks again, you guys, for coming, and thanks everybody for watching. And yeah, until next time.